Monday, March 3rd, 2025, to order at 7 p.m. Please rise for the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Lord, bless this gathering and everyone present. May our discussions honor you and bear good fruit. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could I entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the agenda.
You have a second?
Second.
You have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes. Do we entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of February 18th, 2025?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes. I don't see any nominations of recognition, but last meeting we did wanted to present a certificate of recognition to the Womack family for helping with volunteer work in staining the bridge in Centennial Park. It's just really positive to have people in our community that are willing to volunteer their time to make our community better. So we'll get that in the mail.
Jen said they couldn't come, but really appreciated the recognition.
Okay. Okay. Does anybody else, I'll backtrack, does anybody else have any nominations for recognition? None? None right now? Okay. Moving on to citizens business verbal. I don't see Pam Gualtieri here, so we'll move on to the next item, which is the NYSA, the softball league. So Ashley, if you'd like to speak.
So a group of us have gotten together. Last summer we did a softball roundup. We've heard for years and years that there is a need and a want to bring softball back to the community. We did a soft softball roundup last summer at the end of summer to see if anyone would come out, and we had a great turnout. Actually, we kind of had a limited age group just because we had no idea what it may look like, and it was very few volunteers to get it started. From there, because we had such a great experience, we got together and formed officially the Newcastle Youth Softball Association. What we're asking for today is for review and acceptance of a memorandum of understanding for the 2025 season to be able to utilize Field 2 at the Newcastle City baseball softball fields for that season. Do you want me to go through each section or no? Do you have it?
Does the council have printouts of the MOU by chance? Okay.
No, so the council doesn't.
Okay, so I can go through it. Or do you want me to go through it?
Yeah, that's just fine.
So we kind of just we did work with the Medfords as well. So Little League and the baseball team and kind of went through what we hoped to have happen. And they are with us. We have sent this to them as well. We were requesting, number one, we would like to use the we would like to have use of Field 2 at the Newcastle City Baseball Softball Fields for the 2025 season. We're requesting access in use 7 days a week from April 1st to August 31st. Other entities would ask the NYSA permission to use the field during this time, and NYSA would be given first right of refusal for that one field during those dates. Exceptions would include the Memorial Weekend and Father's Day weekend, when baseball will utilize the field for their well-established annual tournaments. Number 2, we are asking that the NYSA would like to request the use of the small city-owned concession stand nearest to Field 2 during those requested dates and time. It would mostly be used for when we had games, for concessions. Field 2 is, I have a hard time explaining where it is, the backfield it butts up against the soccer fields. Is that
Correct.
okay? Does everyone?
Over by the tan bathrooms.
The tan bathrooms in the concession stand. That's what we were hoping to use as well. The NYSA would like to request that the city help facilitate moving the small storage shed on skids near the storage building, near the railroad tracks at the back of the property. Basically moving it closer to Field 2. I believe Pam, we started this process a while ago, had reached out to Greg to see if that was even an option. It was my understanding it may be an option.
Depending on where it is, because we do have the main sprinkler system line running right through that area as well. But
Yeah.
we can probably find someplace to put it.
Oh, perfect. We'd like permission to condition the mound and field for softball use. Currently, that mound has been built up. It was just built up by Little League. It used to be the softball field, which was just a flat rubber. Now they kind of built it up for a mound. So we just like to basically put that back to a flat rubber at that area. And so what it had said, we would like permission to condition the mound and field for softball use. This would require minor adjustment to the pitching mound back to its original state as a softball rubber. Number 5, we were asking that if any other sport or entity is utilizing the designated area, they would need to vacate the area 30 minutes prior to a scheduled practice or 2 hours prior to a scheduled game so that the field may be prepped and conditioned, chalked, and the bases and everything put together. We do understand that sometimes soccer, like the little kids soccer, uses the outfield, and so we're just hoping if we had good communication with our schedule with them as well, that we would kind of work around that if possible. And number 6, we'd like to request in the future first right of refusal of the field for each additional season. The reason we wanted to make sure we had a memorandum of understanding and something in just that has been officially accepted is because we were invited to join the Northern Hills Softball League, which is kind of a big deal. It is a league that we would travel between Spearfish, Belfouche, Lead Deadwood, Sturgis, and us, and so we would all travel and rotate. The games would be Monday through Thursday, and then practices we'd schedule around those. So that was kind of exciting for us as well. But we did have to show that we had a field that we could host a game at as well. So that's kind of where this started. And that's it.
Is this fast pitch or slow pitch?
Fast pitch.
Okay.
Softball. Yep.
So thank you, Ashley, for providing us with an overview of the MOU. I'm sorry, council, that I didn't have enough foresight to ask for Haggerty to print us some for the meeting. But I had been speaking with Ashley about this, and she wrote up the MOU. It seems that all the parties that are going to be affected have all been, in collaboration. And I just want to commend you for taking this leap. You know, I mean, it's going to be busy, and the girls deserve a place to play. So, with that, do we entertain a motion? Oh, first, Dublin, we had been in contact, and you seemed to think that the MOU, that everything was in order.
Yeah, so the MOU, after the edits and everything else, I didn't have any issue with it as long as, the other parties involved who would be sharing the field also, basically had a statement.
I did send a statement, I'm sorry.
No worries.
I kind of sent a statement, Brian got back to me, like
Yeah,
official in writing, not really official, but
So
kind of just saying that.
before the meeting, I was provided with a statement that Ashley had received from Brian Mefford, and then I don't know. I'm a rookie at being mayor. Should I read the statement for everybody so we're fully transparent?
So just to clarify, this is a communication between you and.
This was between Ashley and Brian in
It's a
regard.
screenshot,
Okay.
so.
So, one, I think the council probably should read the MOU before moving forward. You said it was April 1st is the effective date on it?
Correct.
Okay. And so would the next meeting would it push any issue in terms of actually getting that enforced?
When is the next meeting?
17th.
Of March?
Yes.
Oh, no, yeah, that should be fine. We're doing registration right now, so we don't have any,
In all fairness, she just read the entire MOU to the council.
Right.
Did you guys?
I
Were
didn't
you
have
able to
anything. The only
understand?
question I have, who kind of is in charge of scheduling stuff?
Yeah, so well,
I
are you
mean-
referring to like our scheduling for the softball or?
Well,
like
the fields.
I have no idea. That's why we wanted to make sure we had something in writing. Brian, as far as like baseball, they schedule it around their schedule, and that was
I
kind of
don't-
what him and I talked about.
I guess my thinking is, the baseball and the soccer have been there. We don't want to infringe on their stuff. So if everybody can work together, it's great.
I mean,
Yeah, you
if I could read this statement. do you
We
think?
did invite him to be here too, but I
Yeah,
think he
he
was
couldn't
working.
come.
You may have to edit the first sentence he said.
I think it probably would be best if we didn't read his statement,
Okay.
just because we don't know if he's
He's
given
okay
his
with
consent,
us?
yeah,
Yeah.
to read personal text messages. So, it's up to the council if you're fine with the verbiage as she, basically gave it to you. That's completely fine. I just think that the MOU, without the council seeing it, I think most agreements should be seen by the council, if not all of them. So.
Okay. So
That's
maybe next meeting,
Yeah.
Ashley, and then we could actually see if Brian would be able to make it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
As far as soccer, I didn't reach out to soccer. I don't know who does the.
Well, I just know, like, my little granddaughter plays over there kind of in those fields. So I don't know who schedules those kind of things or.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
I have a question. What is the form of your organization that you have? For
What
this
do you-
girl? Now, is this a girls softball league or a boys and girls or
This is girls fast pitch softball.
girls fast pitch softball? Okay, I have some information that maybe you don't have. Years ago, when I was on the rec board, there was a couple, the Lacey's, who at that time I went through a whole group, a bunch of things and jumped through the hoops, and we got them an organization with bylaws and the whole thing, and a checking account to have a girls softball league.
Correct, yeah,
You know that? Did you know that somewhere in the bank there's $20,000 for a girls softball league?
I think it's like 17,900. I do know that.
17,000.
And we have worked with Patrick Lacey. We have moved forward. We have
I
incorporated
just
as
needed to
a
know that you're
nonprofit
in
as well.
contact and have
Yes, thank you.
access to those funds, because
Yes.
those funds were provided by this organization and several others
Yeah.
to have a girls softball league, and God bless you for getting something else done.
Yeah, thank you.
And it's very well received. I'm just saying it was great.
And I think it's wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, we'll revisit it next
Do you
meeting,
want me to
but
leave? What?
I used to go.
sure, and then Stacy could make copies and then we can,
Thank you.
perfect. Yeah, thanks a lot, Ashley.
In addition to the weekly printed version of the newsletter journal, we also promote our community and share important information on our award-winning website, newslj.com, and in our weekly email newsletter, Nuke Now. We also connect with readers through various social media platforms and invite you to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can even take a look at a recent meeting of the City Council, School Board, or County Commission on our YouTube channel. We do hope that you will go to newslj.com and subscribe today, and we look forward to making all of our great content available to you. But regardless of your level of support, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for doing your part to preserve a free and independent local press.
Stacy could make copies and then we can,
Thank you.
perfect. Yeah, thanks a lot, Ashley.
Yes,
Anybody
thank
else
you.
have any further questions for Ashley? No? No? Okay. We'll go ahead and move on. Thanks, Ashley.
Thank you.
To the Veterans Memorial, Newcastle, Wyoming Veterans Memorial. Duke Adama.
Scary. I want to pass a couple flyers out to you folks, kind of give you an idea of what we've done, and we got to estimate this cost. And I'll share this. Sure. I'm just going to give you one. I don't know how kindergarten teacher feels now, huh? Behave yourself.
Thank you.
I can't read you.
I can't use it, but I type it, so. Oh, time of my life here. My name is Duke Adama. I'm the director of the Newcastle Wyoming Veterans Memorial. This program started, this job, started in August of 2018 when we had the idea that, I had the idea after a vacation, seeing a bunch of amazing memorials, that we get back to Newcastle and we didn't have such a big memorial. We were told that we already have 2 memorials, we didn't need a 3rd one, and I'm not buying that for at least 2nd. Supposedly, the one on the courthouse is a memorial, and I thank the people who did something for our veterans, that did put the names up on some plaques, and I didn't find out that we had that until I went to a county commissioners meeting. And I walked downstairs and I talked to the lady. I said, "Is there a memorial around here?" And she says, "Yeah, it's right on the front wall." Well, I take a left instead of a right, so I walked all the way around the courthouse looking for flags. I didn't see anything. But I got to the plaque that they put up, and it's something that we have, but it's not designated like you see other memorials with flags sticking up, benches. I mean, it didn't have that. The second memorial is the one up on the cemetery, and I don't like the name of it. They call it the Forgotten Memorial, and it's dedicated to a young man by the name of Randy Schultz, who served 2 years in Vietnam, come home, committed suicide, and his folks built that for him. So we do have some memorials, but it's not like we wanted to really recognize our veterans for. So right now we have the land. The land is out by Pinnacle Bank, north of Pinnacle Bank. They have been gracious enough, Justin Tysted, to give us a piece of the property to build our memorial. And with that being said, the next thing we have, as you can see, is the design of the memorial. We got together with Justin and Tallgrass out of Custer, South Dakota. They were the architects who grabbed, we had 8 different memorials that were drawn up. We gave them all to him and he came up with that memorial. It's amazing. And that little picture is good, but when you get the big book of it, it looks really, really great. So we got those 2 things going for us. The third thing is the hardest. We've got my committee, there's a bunch of these people here on our committee. Some are on the grant committee, that we've been writing grants and sending things out, and unfortunately, we've been turned down a couple times, but we haven't heard from the majority of people that we have sent out to. So, Tyrell was gracious enough to come to our meeting a week and a half ago, and he said some things that kind of lit a fire under my hind end to get going again, because this has been the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. But it's been, other than my family, it's the most important thing that I'll ever do. So he asked me to come and talk a little bit about maybe the financial part of it, where we're at, and I'll let you guys in on all this. Right now we have about $50,000 that can go towards our memorial. We had to pay S&S Construction, all the paperwork that they did on it, and we had to pay Tallgrass for doing the design of it, and that was $23,000. But we did get that paid off with the very minimal amount of money that we're getting. It's not coming in fast enough. I think what really helped us was the 9/11 celebration that we had at Pinnacle Bank. Right after that, I was getting phone calls from people that were calling me wanting to know where they could send some money. And they're sending money, but it's, the most we've got so far is about $1,500. And we'll get $100, which is fine. Which is fine. Some of these folks can't afford a lot of money, and that's why this group right here, we're putting out the effort to write the grants and to see if we can get something going. I say that the land that Justin gave us, he appraised it. He thought it would appraise about $100,000. And so if we do a match fund type of a deal, you talked about that a little bit at our meeting, and you could probably explain a lot better than I can, but with that, at $100,000, yeah, and that was 2.5 years ago. And so what's really funny about this is we have a couple of donation buckets at the gateway, at the self-service center, and we make more money there than we do from some of the people. I mean, people are just really generous. They see, we got some pictures of it on the buckets, a couple of the buckets, and we stop there every 2 weeks, and you'd be surprised how much money people, are giving us. But so that's a kind of an indicator that, yeah, they're supporting what we're doing, but it's just been kind of a struggle. So what I did on my own, I thought, S&S Construction out of Gillette are going to build our memorial, but I thought, I don't want nothing with the Gillette people, okay? I got a lot of friends up there. But I didn't want them coming in here and building our memorial. Doing everything. So I know some people in town. I went and talked to Wyoming Crane, Tony Leonardson. I went and talked to Rick's Electric, Rick Phillips. I went and talked to 21 Electric, Josh Liggett. I went and talked to Hurricane Services, Sean Crabtree, and I went and talked to Prosper Services, Bucky Ryhauser. Now I asked them, I told them the same thing I just told you, we don't want Gillette to do it all. We want to get our community involved in it. We want the people in Newcastle to be the major part of it. And every one of them, man, they jumped on it. I mean, they're ready to go right now. They keep asking me, when you guys are going to get going? When you get going, we're ready. And we just, if you see that top site grading, we kind of went by that, what these people could give us, and that's $50,000 a piece. So that's $250,000 that will be taken off of this, you know, so the price will go down. And with the grants and the loans and stuff, I was told last year that when you put grants in and we send out, we got a big booklet that we've been sending out to people, and they said probably be 3 to 4 months before you get anything in return. I was in November, and we haven't gotten much from anybody yet, so we're gonna do some calling and see what the heck is kind of going on. But I guess basically what I'm here for is just to see if you guys, if there's any help or any ideas you could give us that would help us to get this memorial built. Because I mean, we have amazing veterans in this community, and if you get to know them like I've got to know them, and I'll tell you a little story. I got told by 2 of them that if I told the story, or I could tell the story, but I couldn't tell their names because they were going to break my leg. So I'm not going to tell them their names. But what happened, there's one guy that he was drafted in the middle 60s, Vietnam, and he was only over there 7 months, and he earned 2 Purple Hearts.
Huh.
And you wouldn't believe the guy if you knew who it was. He's pretty special. And another guy that I got to know real well here in town, and you'd really be surprised at this guy, but he served 24 years in the Navy. And he taught at some of the most prestigious military institutions in our country. And by looking at him, you'd say, no way. But these are 2 guys that I idolize these guys for what they've done. So each and every one of the veterans in this community, we feel they need a place to go. Not only to celebrate what they have, but maybe think about the things that they went through. You know, we don't have any place here in town to do that. And I keep asking, well, if you guys get this memorial done, who's going to take care of it? I tell you what, we got a bunch of veterans that have nothing to do but to go to the memorial and take care of it. So with that being said, I guess in conclusion, I'd like to say that if everybody in this room, if you love your country, if you love your state, if you love Newcastle, if you love the opportunity to do what you folks are doing, to go and buy a car, buy a house, then do yourself a great big favor. Go thank a veteran. So with that being said, if there's any questions that you guys want to ask me, I'll see if I can answer them. The smart people are sitting right here. They can help me if I stumble and bumble. So if anything you got, like I said, we definitely like this. If you guys know any grant help or any grant writers that could work with us or teach us or what, maybe we're doing something wrong, because these gals have really busted their caboose to get this thing out there. And we're not going to give up on it, folks. We're going to keep going along. After 6 years, it's no sense in quitting trying to get something that this community definitely deserves for our vets.
Does anybody have any questions for Duke?
When you're talking about your construction and the $720,000 here, that's the whole park.
No, that's just the Veterans Memorial. The whole park is $3.2 million.
Oh,
Yeah, when we started doing that with the Heritage Park and the Memorial, it's amazing. I mean, I hope it gets built one day, and I believe it will. But when you talk to the people in Newcastle about the Heritage Park, the whole thing, and they go, what's it going to cost? And you say $3.2 million, they go, see ya. I mean, it's tough in a small community of 3,500 people to come up with $3.2 million. So,
But this picture is the Veterans Memorial.
That's
It's the whole thing.
yeah, that's the Veterans
Yeah.
Memorial without Heritage Park.
Right. So-
Let them know that it's the back third of that section of land.
Right.
So they've got a picture in their head.
Where the sign
that
is.
The
when it-
actual
Right
memorial.
where the
Veterans
sign
Park.
is.
Right, along the
It's gonna take
highway.
that back third,
That's what
Yeah.
it's going to be.
isn't it? It's about a third of it.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, folks. I gotta throw this out there. At 7:30, we have a public hearing to renew our liquor licenses, so we'll have to stop. But we could pick discussion back up because there is some things that I would like to say about myself and Councilwoman McCauley's involvement with the Heritage
Well,
Park.
it's advertised.
And so I would like to pick up discussion again, but we got a break for the public hearing at 7:30.
The reason that is so is because we advertised it at that time.
Pardon me?
We advertised the hearing at that time.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Checking my memory, aren't you?
I have.
I didn't.
Okay, we'd like to open the public hearing as advertised.
The new store. This is the one-stop shop. We have a pharmacy. We have a bootlegger's liquor. The deli, the food that you can get at a lunchtime is so amazing. The coffee shop. Certain Friday mornings, there's 30 people sitting here in all these chairs. This is the hub for people to come and visit, have their coffee, have their donuts. It's amazing what this area has done. Totally amazing.
Okay, we'd like to open the public hearing as advertised at 7:30 p.m. for the renewal of liquor licenses. So notice is hereby given that on the 30th day of January 2025, the following 8 retail liquor licenses, 1 club license, 2 bar and grill licenses, 1 restaurant license, filed applications for renewal of their liquor licenses. Protests, if there be any, against the issuance of these licenses will be heard at the hour of 7:30 p.m. on Monday, March 3rd, 2025 in the Newcastle City Council Chambers of City Hall, Newcastle, Wyoming. So, do I need to read all the licenses?
That's just the note.
Yeah, okay. So, liquor license number 1 is Perkins Tavern LLC, which is located DBA Perkins Tavern, Lot 6, Block 10, original town site. Liquor license number 2 is Shortstop number 1 LLC, Shortstop Fuel Mart, a tract of land in the northeast southwest of Section 30. Do I gotta read all the sections?
You don't have to read the legal
Is
description.
that, isn't that in the county?
No.
No?
Shortstop, no.
Okay.
We wouldn't be reading this if it was.
Get surrounded by cows.
Liquor license number 3, Decker's Food Center of Newcastle Incorporated. Liquor license number 4, Cap and Bottle LLC. Liquor license number 5, B&D Holding Newcastle LLC. Liquor license number 6, Mini Mart Inc. Liquor license number 7, BW Gas and Convenience Retail LLC. And liquor license number 8, Maverick Inc. Bar and Grill number 1 is Isabella's LLC. Bar and Grill number 2, Newcastle Lodge and Convention Center LLC. Club license number 1, Newcastle Country Club. And restaurant number 7 is Frida's House Mexican Food LLC.
Your Honor, I move that we approve all the liquor license as read.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes. Thank you. So now we can move back into our regularly scheduled
Don't
meeting.
even drink.
There was no protests. I didn't hear any protestation. Okay, so Duke, Councilwoman McCauley and myself worked diligently on the Heritage Park. The Heritage Park didn't work out, and as I told you guys at the meeting, I thought it's because we asked for too much and people thought we were a shoe-in, and then it kind of went by the wayside. I did some follow-up from the meeting that I had with you guys. I talked to Justin Tystad. He said he's still in favor of the donation of land. I asked about donations to the city in regard to the park, and there was a donation of $5,000 that was given to the city in the name of the Heritage Park. When the Heritage Park no longer became a thing, it was absorbed into the general fund because the donor of the money said that they'd just like to see it go to a worthy cause. So I myself think that the Newcastle, Wyoming Veterans Memorial is a worthy cause. So I'd like to ask the council if they would entertain a motion to make a $5,000 payment, which was the donation of $5,000 that was originally intended for the Heritage Park, that it be given to the Newcastle, Wyoming Veterans Memorial.
I move that we move that 5,000 to the Veterans Memorial.
Do we have a second?
Second.
So we have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. All right, motion carries. You'll receive that at the next council
Yeah,
meeting.
we appreciate it, thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to quell the misgivings that that money was just going to disappear in our general fund. So now it's gotten rerouted to what I deem to be a very worthy cause. And I also misspoke at the meeting. The $45,000 that I was talking about was actually what the city had budgeted to use towards the Heritage Park project. So it was just a budget line item. So I can't just like give you guys 45 grand, or the council can't just give you $45,000. So, but I did what I could. So, and council with, so just to sum, or the folks in our community that are willing to work on the project, are they donating their labor, or is it a donation of labor?
The 5 entities that I mentioned, yeah, they're donating their time.
They want to donate their time and the equipment.
Instead of, well, you know, I talked to one of them and I talked about donations, and then for some reason light bulb come on. You know, that don't happen very often, but I asked them, I said, would you guys be willing to give us work instead of money? And they jumped on it, you know, and that made me feel good because, like I said, I want part of our community to be building that. I don't, nothing against Gillette, like I said, but yeah, they're all gung-ho for it, they're ready to go. And the interesting thing, you know, for example, Tony Lewis was talking to me about cranes. You know, we have to have a crane to set our 3 pillars. And I didn't know that, but the crane, to row the crane from Gillette down here is $300 an hour. And then you have an operator, that's $120 an hour. And if you're not using that crane, if it comes down here, it sits there, you're still paying for that crane. You know, because they could put it somewhere else instead of sitting there. So I think we're gonna save a lot of money and let these guys do the work. And one more thing I might bring up is I talked to people about the memorial, and it seemed like they all got together at a town meeting and decided the same thing. Because they're telling me the same thing, that as soon as we see a shovel in the ground doing work, we'll come and donate to your cause.
And that's April 1st.
Yeah, well, it was supposed to be April 1st, but I don't know if we'll make it or not, but.
Well, so with the donation of time, equipment, and labor, the in-kind cost of the land, I mean, I think we have a really good shot at being able to write a grant. that with the money that you guys have already raised, I think we have a pretty good shot. And if we start with the Veterans Memorial, then maybe it could go on from there. So I think that's where we made our mistake the last time, is we wanted to get it all done at once, and sometimes that's just not realistic.
Yeah. And knowing Justin like I do, he keeps telling me that when I get kind of buttered a little bit, when people aren't really in favor of what we're doing, I call Justin up and I say, I need to talk to you. So I go down there and I talk to Justin, and every time I leave, he always tells me, he puts his hand on my shoulder and says, Duke, we're gonna get it built.
It's gonna happen.
So I call those feel-good meetings.
Yeah.
You know, so he's really, really good. He's into this thing 100%. So.
I just made a return trip from Washington, D.C., and we have a family member on the Vietnam War Memorial. So panel 31 East, line 45 is David Dickinson, and he was a family member that we lost in the Vietnam conflict. So I went and got a rubbing. There's nice volunteers there. So good luck, and I think that you have the city's support, so we'll move forward.
Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
I guess we'll move on to our next agenda item.
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
Duke,
Yeah.
have you reached out to Kroll at all to see?
Yes, we have. We sent all the information email to him. We haven't heard anything back. We also dropped off a booklet at Lakeland Propane up in Moorcroft, and we're gonna hit 9 in Hewlett here when the weather gets pretty. And we thought about just getting, people that got some kind of interest in Newcastle to go out there and see if they'll get out.
How about some of our concrete folks here in town?
I haven't got them yet, no.
Jack Master, or any of those folks, to see if they'd be willing to help with some concrete work. Because that's, obviously, concrete's a big chunk of it.
Yeah, you look at that, it's a lot of money. Yeah, I haven't got out to those guys, but yeah, I'm glad you reminded me, so we can get on that a little bit.
What would it take to put those 3 poles up?
A crane.
Well, I mean, I was just thinking about that, boy. If you think about Crazy Horse Mountain, Duke, you've lived here as long as I have, just about.
Well, I'm not that old.
Okay, all right. You didn't get to play with Jesus? Okay, well, anyway, you think about Crazy Horse Mountain, and remember the first thing they did, they dug that hole through it, and then everybody look up there, and you drive up there and look at that damn hole, And I'm just wondering if you put those 3 poles up, and everybody can see them from miles around, you pour a little bit of concrete, and there you got something going.
Well, to talk to the engineers, that's quite the process to dig that down deep enough to secure that. Because one of the pillars, the middle one's probably gonna be 40 feet tall, and the other 2 are probably gonna be around 30 feet. And if you don't secure them with the Wyoming wind, it's gonna take a while to get them in there, but I should have brought the drawing. I got the drawings, what they're gonna do to secure that in there, but it's not a fast deal to do. So, but we wanna make sure that it's done right, and.
Well, absolutely, but if you did that as your first thing,
Be a lead-in as well.
and you did it all right, and then you got an advertisement that people can see for 100 miles.
Yeah. I don't know how they're gonna do it, to be honest with you. Maybe they'll start with that, I don't know.
Took 15 yards of concrete.
Okay.
We can find out.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Is it gonna be built in stages or just all at once? How do you wanna do it?
All at once. Once S&S starts the whole thing, they start it and they don't stop until they're finished.
So if
They're the same guys that are doing the overpass, and I talked to a lot of people and they say they are very, very good and they're very fast.
the travel commission, you guys came to us. We turned it over to the state because we weren't sure if we were mandated to be able to donate to that. We haven't got a word back from the state yet. Well, I think what might help them say yes is that you're building right along the scenic byway.
Right.
Because in the county, we have a scenic byway, and 85 to 585 and up to the county line. So that might, nudge them to say yes, we can do it or not. But we weren't sure if we could, so that's why we put it to the state.
Yeah.
I think it's fine.
We're just waiting for their to come back to
Do
us.
we need to contact them again? Contact them?
No,
Would that help? Or
well, it's gonna come out of our budget.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're gonna say, yes, you can donate, and they'll, if there's a limit on it, they'll let us know the limit. And then
They can talk about
put it
this.
in
Yeah,
our budget
let's,
for next year.
we're gonna go ahead and move on to our next, agenda item, which is citizens' business in writing. First item is Julie Wetzel, Weston County Travel Commission resignation. Dear board members, please accept this letter as my resignation from the Board of Weston County Travel Commission, effective immediately. I've already given the computer, post office key, checkbook, and rolling case to Brittany a couple of weeks ago. Please let me know if you have any questions. I do have a box of papers in my office at home that I will need to return, but as of this time, I cannot get to it. We have some remodeling going on and is buried at the moment. As soon as I can get to it, I'll get to it, to you all. It's been a pleasure serving with all of you. I have learned a lot over the past couple of years, and I thank you all for that. Regards, Julie Wetzel.
We need a motion to accept this?
No, there's county
I thought we did.
entity. So just for our information, maybe,
We did actually, the city appointed her.
the city did appoint her.
So we need,
So
So
then
there'll
we
be
need a
an
motion
opening.
to,
To accept the resignation. No, I can't force somebody to be on a board, you guys, or state that, I mean, you could symbolically say that, you know, we don't accept it, but you see what I'm saying?
yeah.
So,
okay, moving on then. Next is Kelly Millar, Weston County Travel Commission Joint Powers Agreement. Dear Clerk Treasurer Haggerty, enclosed, please find the corrected, updated Weston County Travel Commission Joint Powers Agreement. As President Trandle noted in December, Section 8 was incomplete and has since been reviewed. The agreement is now ready for review and signature by the governing bodies. If you could please present this agreement to your governing body for review, and upon signature, please deliver the document to the Weston County Clerk for the same, I would greatly appreciate it. Once all governing bodies have completed their review and all signatures are affixed, an executive copy will be sent to each governing body and the Wyoming AG for final approval. After the AG approval, the document will be recorded with Weston County Clerk. Please feel free to call with any questions. Thanks sincerely, Kelly Millar, Clerk Treasurer, Town of Upton. So, do we entertain a motion to accept the Weston County Travel Commission Joint Powers Agreement? It's been reviewed by Attorney Hughes and it's in order.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries. So, I just need to sign it back here. Right there. It doesn't need to be signed in blue ink, does it?
No, that's not that specific. And then Bruce may have a report for the travel commission as well.
Thank you. Okay, and then I heard, Bruce, that you might want to speak on the...
Yeah. I got some more information from you, now, 2 months ago, I brought some out, but I gotta say, Kelly Wessel was one of them who put this together. It's, you know, with the new program of QuickBooks, we had to upgrade. I'm gonna have to let you share. And what we have here is pretty.
It's a failure to communicate.
I'll let you have mine one, okay? All right, balance sheet. So yes, we have that much available, but you got to understand part of that is within our budget, so it's earmarked to be given out. My main thing I wanted to point out to you was it's highlighted, but it's the chambers. All right, like over the years, we've given over $15,000 to both chambers. So that, you know, but it has to go towards advertising. We had situations where they wanted money to maintain their building, to, you know, pay an employee, and this, that, and the other. And our mandate says no, it has to go towards advertising. So we asked them to submit a letter. First it was quarterly, now it's every year. Just submit a letter saying, this is how we spent your money. Well, between the turnarounds with all the chambers and us, as you see this, they just quit doing it. So they haven't gotten a whole bunch of money here lately. But, I mean, there's $3,200, all right, for 6 months that all we have to do is get them to write us a letter. And I've already been in contact with them, so they're going in front of their board to redo it to where we get the letter, and it shouldn't have to keep having to hold their hand, you know, every year. So that's so that's in the works, so we can get some money back to them. The next one down here, community events. So this will tell you how much money we put into community event advertising to get people here, and that's including new events. And there's quite a bit. I mean, some people, got over $10,000, and some people got over $1,000. You know, it just depends on how long the event has been going, how much people that they're estimated to bring in, how much time they're going to be staying in the motels. And then there's also a co-op advertising, which I don't have that one. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, you guys should have a co-op advertising. That tells you people who were advertising for events, all right, and we went ahead and helped with the co-op advertising. So we got a community event, a co-op advertising. If somebody wanted to advertise, say like Isabella's, and hey, we're going to advertise all through Nebraska to try to get people here during a rally. We do a they put in for a co-op portion of it, and then when they pay the bill and submit us a copy of the bill, and then we give them whatever money we have dedicated set aside. But you can see that a lot of people are taking advantage of these programs. And the money is going out, but you just have to keep on them in order to get the receipts, you know, or show us how they spent the money. That's it. But this budget's also going to drop. We budget $65,000 to $70,000 a year, and we spent most of it. But it's going to drop because already, the beginning of this year, our checks from the bed tax, you know, it goes to the state and it comes to us, they're getting smaller and smaller. And all the COVID money's gone. Because they spent us a lot of extra money, you know, during COVID. All that's gone. So we're going to see our budget drop. I don't know how much yet, because it's all estimated on the bed tax. So, you know, we're trying to distribute the money. We're trying to get it out to the people. And we just need a little bit more cooperation, I think. Do you like this one? Sounds like interest. So, you know, yourselves, put it out there for us. Come and see us. You know, we have a new category, which is new events. So somebody comes in here to town, and we want to bring this to the fairgrounds. Okay, we can get them probably $2,000 to $5,000 for advertising, saying, "Hey, we're in Newcastle now." So
has the car club talked to you, that one that's the new event this summer? They're going to try to have for that car, the car show?
They haven't. They have come to us, but we have to budget it. So, you know, we just don't say, here, okay, we gotta get it in our budget, so we're
But
getting it.
that was my question, they haven't come. Okay, thank you.
So who took Julie's place, or have you replaced
Nobody,
her?
that's a vacant seat right now. You know, she's really helped out quite a bit, but I don't know why she quit.
So now, somebody like me that does get money from the Travel Commission for the flowers, who do I talk to now? You?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We still are
I
functioning
mean,
board.
Julie was my go-to person then, but, okay.
Well, then, you know, then there's Brittany, you know, our president, and,
Yeah, I don't know her, okay.
yeah, but you can come to me, that's
Okay.
fine. I don't, my place is up for sale, so when my place sells, I don't know, I'll probably just keep, you know, and run out my time with it, and probably won't be back on, you know, after it's out, and there's 3 years commitment. So I just did that last year, so I've still got 2 years to go on it. So like I said, if my place sells, I probably won't renew and stay on.
But we like seeing your happy face, so just keep coming back.
I'm a tired, happy face right now. But that's it. I just wanted to let you see the money that is available, where it's going, and we are distributing it out the best we can.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll go ahead and move on to the next item, which is Linda Hunt, unpaved streets and gray edition. So to the Newcastle City Council, RE unpaved streets and gray edition, specifically approximately 1 block of poplar, 1/2 block of cedar, 1 block of sage, and 1/2 block of gray boulevard, and 2 blocks of oak. These streets have been topped with very small amounts of gravel and lots of fines, known as J-base and or L-base, for years and years. For some reason, the City Planning and Zoning Board and the city did not enforce the development area to be paved and guttered at the time the original owners and developers were selling and or developing this area. I was on the planning board at one time, and I am familiar with the fact that this is required of a development. The current residents are and continue to deal with this unfortunate condition. During the summer dry months, the dust is tremendous. It fills furnace filters, it covers the exterior of houses and any items outside of the house, patio equipment, etc. It causes unnecessary amounts of dust within the interior of the home and garage. During the wet months, to include melting snow, spring thaw, rain, hail, etc., it causes an unbelievable clay-like mud which sticks to everything like glue. It ruins shoes, garage floors have to be cleaned daily, vehicles are filthy with the wet sludge. The current residents should not be held responsible for these conditions. Most were not here at the beginning of the development, but are suffering because it was not paved and guttered back then. At the very least, would it be too much to ask for the city to top it with clean gravel, no fines? Thank you for your time and consideration in this matter. Sincerely, Linda Hunt. And there's attachments with pictures and also a petition with 8 signatures.
You live right out there, Mr. Mayor, what do you think?
I live a couple doors down from Linda. Yes.
Well, what is it true that our planning board made a screw up here? Or
Well, we used to talk about this when I worked at the city shop, but it was kind of a rush deal, and the lots were sold, and the city was kind enough to at least put some gravel down so that people could drive to their newly purchased lots. So I would say that it wasn't handled appropriately. But now here we are, 2 decades.
In 2001 is when we laid the water lines.
Yeah, couple of decades down the line, and it's like a lot of things that happen in our community where something happens, maybe it isn't planned the best, and now people are suffering
I
from
think she's got a
the lack
reasonable
of
complaint.
planning. Yeah,
I do too.
Mr. Mayor, that's not the only section in town that's got gravel streets.
no, that's true.
If we do them, do we have to do all of them?
I mean, I don't. Let's think about other gravel streets here. What other gravel streets do we got in town that were?
The one I live on, Grandview Drive.
Yeah, I guess I bladed your road up Grandview, so.
There's,
Grandview's not paved?
No, it's not at all.
It's not as grand as the name of the street.
I thought that was a fancy area.
It is
what else is there, Mr. Greg?
I'm getting to that.
Hill Street.
Hill Street?
I mean, they probably all should have been required to put in some curb and gutter and some paving.
Yeah, we can talk about what should go on there, but why can't we just put gravel on this?
Well,
Instead of putting fines on it, I mean, look at it. It's just mud.
Why are the fines there, really? I mean, who?
And if gravel will suffice, I mean, that's a lot cheaper than paving it.
I agree with him. What is what she's saying about fines true, or is it just like all the heavy stuff sinks down anyway? I guess I got
There's a picture.
I've been there, done that. I've been on her street.
You live right there.
I mean, the thing with base course is that, like, during periods of transition,
We
right?
can't even walk it now.
When
because
we're getting all this thaw and everything, then it gets kind of yucky, but in the summer,
the grade
it
boulevard.
hardens back up.
It's dusty, she said. In the
Oh,
summer.
yeah.
It is.
This is the list of our gravel city streets.
There's a lot of them.
Oh yeah, because we used to have this list because we had to go through and blade them all. We used to have this list because we had to go through and blade them all.
So there's about 5.8 miles of gravel roads in Newcastle.
So if we put a cost to paving and curb and gutter for 5.2 miles,
What we did do was an estimate for the roads out of drainage. Line number 18 is the construction cost to pave those roads.
When they developed that. they
Based
should-
on the prices we used, or we had for 7th Avenue, so $2.2 million. With the engineering, 3.1. This is a very low-ball figure because we didn't take the time, we didn't have the time to estimate the driveways, curb returns, fillets, things like that. And those all have separate line item costs that we didn't figure into. To do a capital construction loan through the state of Wyoming, it's a 4.152% interest rate now. The yearly payment for that amount of money would be $162,000. The problem is we can't borrow $3.2 million. We can only borrow $1.2 million. So we have to backfill this somehow to pave these roads. If we did a street assessment, that would be the price for each individual house. Every year.
I can't read it. Look.
$4,398.
Man, I'd go for that if I lived there.
Well, let's send them bills tomorrow, see what they do.
They tried to form a special district once before,
Oh, for 30 years.
and it failed because nobody wanted to pay for
It's
street
per
assessment.
year for
Everybody that plays
Oh, okay.
Monopoly knows you have to pay for street
Maybe
assessment.
not.
So just to give the council an idea, this is what it would cost to pave those roads.
Okay. All right, so
That's the
what,
payment.
like Councilman Downer was saying,
Yeah.
what can we do instead?
We can add rock to it. It's gonna be a little bit because I gotta look at the budget. I think we just spent the last of our road road and gravel money.
Well, at some point in time, before the next meeting, could you give an estimate what the rock would cost?
Yep, because it's
Clean rock, she says.
Because it's $9.75 a ton is what it is, right? Well, you know, the price on that thing is $10.25 a ton now. I'll have to look and see what we spent the last time we gravelled that road. The problem with clean rock is if it doesn't get embedded into the fines, it starts rolling around like ball bearings. And all of it's gonna end up in the ditch. And it won't do a dang bit of good. Then we'll have to do the clean rock every single year.
Well, at least they'd have something they can pick up and throw back on the road.
What about chip and seal?
If you can find a company that'll actually show up and give you a reasonable bid.
Chip seal on what? What are you gonna put chip seal on?
Oh, we've done it before. We've chipped
On
seal.
gravel?
Yep, you can do it. We've done it.
How thick?
It actually works fairly well. It's a double chip seal, so there's 2 layers. So it ends up about an inch thick. It'll hold up, it just won't hold up to big trucks and things like that.
So when we drive the garbage truck through there, then
We did a test section on Sheridan Street, about half Sheridan Street we did this with. And so far, we're 8 years into it and it's held up fairly well. East Road is another one we did this with. And it's holding up fairly well. It's ready to be chip sealed again. But the problem with chip seal is getting a company here with a reasonable price. There's only one company in the area that does it. Last time we did a chip seal project, it was so outlandishly costly, we had to walk away from it. So.
When I was building buildings in Gillette, we did Antelope Valley subdivision, and there was a product called Bind Tight. And the contractors up there were mixing Bind Tight with that old Scorio crap they use up there on their roads. And that made fantastic roads for Antelope Valley subdivision. Have you ever heard of Bind Tight?
That I have not heard of it. I'm sure it's an oil base, like a tack oil base or something like that.
I don't know. I didn't make roads. I made buildings.
There's hundreds of different types of oil that we can use on this. It would just depend on what oil we decided to go with. The bigger problem is how to apply it.
Well,
we bought chip spreaders for our trucks, so we could do it that way instead of the one machine that they use. The problem is we still need the rollers. We need pneumatic tire rollers to be able to pack it into the oil. We've looked at doing this chip sealing ourselves. Because like I said, the last chip seal quote we got, or price we got, was over $500,000 for just this section of town.
Well, as we look at the future, is it kind of a good idea maybe for us to have our own chip and seal outfit?
You will save many, many roads by doing it.
What?
You'll save many miles of roads. Well, we have around 33 miles of paved roads.
Can we buy this equipment used?
Yes, we've looked at it. We need an applicator truck.
How come you're keeping all this a secret?
Because I haven't found the right price for it yet.
Okay.
I thought we had a plan, Greg, to chip seal roads.
We did. The problem was we were going to hire a contractor to do it. And the contractor just, oh my gosh. We can actually mill and overlay, 1-inch mill and overlay on pavement cheaper than we can in chip seal.
Speaking of mill and overlay, do we still have a pile of millings, concrete millings?
The asphalt millings?
Asphalt millings?
Yeah.
What about using something like that?
The problem we found out on Sheridan Street with using those millings, the highway mill tailings is what it was. They roll around like ball bearings. It doesn't bind like ground up rotor millings. The mill tailings we have, if we run it through the asphalt recycler, works great for patchwork. But also we found out that if we don't chip seal it, the water gets into the millings and it actually travels. And then it can't escape. And you end up going like this because it's just sitting there pumping mud up through it.
Well, I say we look very hard at getting our own chip seal equipment.
We bought some of it, but we still need the pneumatic rollers and an applicator. That's what we need.
Great.
So to follow up with this citizen's business in writing, you're gonna look at how much for a temporary fix, the clean rock per ton. And then, I mean, I guess we could have a streets committee meeting to see if you guys could formulate some kind of plan to move forward with.
We got one on Thursday.
Maybe that's something you could add to the agenda, is to discuss what it would take to pave some of these streets.
The larger problem is, my annual budget for this kind of work is $266,000. And right now, we are using that money to pay for the rest of the water sewer projects. So North Sonora, East Wentworth, the project will pay, the road's 30 feet wide. The water project will pay for 10 feet over top of the water main. The sewer project will pay for 10 feet over top of the sewer main. We still have an additional 10 feet of street to do. My budget right now can barely pay for the other 10 feet.
We'll get more money.
You say the word, I'll spend it. I'm good at spending.
Okay, so, thank you, Greg. We'll go ahead and, there's no old business. There doesn't seem to be any new business. Does anybody have any committee or council member reports?
Well, we had a police committee meeting, and are you gonna talk about the police committee meeting when you talk tonight?
Yes.
Okay, and mention like the ordinances and maybe getting that letter out?
In reference to the snow, is that what you're talking about? In reference to the snow issue, the
Yeah.
snow plowing issue? Yes, I can address that.
Okay, then I'll shut up and we'll move on.
Okay, so moving on to department head reports. Attorney Dublin Hughes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One thing I wanted to point out real quick was I don't know exactly where this joint powers board agreement is at as of yet. I believe it's just Mayor Trandall's signature. I don't believe we have Mr. Todd's as of yet. The other thing is we'll have to go to the Attorney General, but it's my understanding that Ms. Wetzel was a city appointee, right? Under this agreement, as far as I can tell, I think the city would probably have to put someone in for the pendency of her term. I don't know when her term will be, but until that agreement obviously comes back signed from the Attorney General, I think the council should probably look into, whoever they'd like to appoint as to the Weston County Travel Commission on that.
Should I run an advertisement for that? I think we've done that in the past.
Yeah, I think that if the council so pleases, again, it's the Attorney General, so God knows when that'll come back, but if the council wishes to do that, obviously I would ask for a motion for that, saying it's an expenditure.
I move that we put an ad for the travel commission.
Second.
We have a motion properly seconded to put in an ad for the travel commission. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes. We'll get an ad in the paper.
Thank you, Council. Council, I had two other things I wanted to discuss. At the last meeting, I drafted up an employee disclaimer. It just adds some new language, and the other thing is it basically is just a little more prominent in terms of what would be in the personnel policies. The personnel policies handbook. I'd like, with the council's leave, to have this put in at least 3 places in the handbook. Basically, every 3-4 pages, whatever ends up working in terms of it, being shown more than just, once or twice throughout the entire handbook.
Does that take a motion?
Yes.
I move that we go along with Dublin Hughes, our attorney, and put his declaration of employment, or non-employment actually, in several times into the employee handbook.
Second.
We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes.
Thank you, council. Last thing I have is I've amended the dog barking ordinance, specifically it's section 412 subsection A. I'd like a little direction in terms of what the council would actually want to prohibit in terms of the actual amount of, or excuse me, the number of occasions that the council would like to restrict. The reason being, obviously as the ordinance stands, it's incredibly overbroad in my opinion.
It is.
The other thing is that it kind of comes down to what the council desires. I added in disturbs the peace and tranquility of any person on 2 or more occasions. The thing with that is it can be 3, it can be, disturbs the peace and tranquility of any person. That's the end of it, so that it's one time. And I just wanted to get some direction from the council, and that way we can get this edited and actually moving forward, so that when we do have, a dog in the community that's not being taken care of and is barking outside of someone's house, excessively, then we can actually cite the owner.
I think it should have more than one person complaining, because some people, they just don't like dogs, period.
But they don't like the owner of the dog.
Or they don't like the owner of the dog.
Can I throw a little bit into the monkey wrench into this thing?
Go ahead.
No.
Most everybody in town does shift work. So day, night, what kind of restrictions or hours or things like this would be feasible? In the middle of the night, of course we can say, no, that's not right. But here you got daytime, put the dog out back for the day, Well, you got a touchy subject there.
I think so too.
Yeah, it's a lot more complex than I thought it was going to be,
I know.
actually.
I don't think
One of the things that, in whatever direction you end up going, so let's say that you had 2 or more people, complain about one dog. Okay, well, 2 or more people ends up being 2 witnesses that you're going to have to bring into court to testify as to the disturbance of their peace and tranquility.
As the point guard, as a team leader, what do you do personally? What do you do to help your team get to the level that I know you guys all want to be at, and I know your fans want to see at?
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to stop, preparing and working hard when we're not in practice. I'm going to continue to get in the gym. But as a leader and a teammate, right now, we're coming off a losing streak, and we are the desperate team. We need to figure it out and find a way to win these close games, because I feel like with all the top teams that we've played to our competition, whether it's up or down, and we just haven't been winning these close games. I feel like, over time, we can't keep losing these close games. We got to start to figure out the small one-possession mistakes or the small late-game mistakes that are losing us these games in a close situation. And, I feel like we just have to understand that it's the Mountain West and we can't come out flat versus anybody.
2 or more people ends up being 2 witnesses that you're going to have to bring into court to testify as to the disturbance of their peace and tranquility, right? I can cut this 1,000 different ways. Frankly, I think there's going to be pros and cons to all of them. It could just be that, there's a time limit on it as to, the dog barks for more than a minute or something to that effect, but then that's on the officer, and that could be, someone calls in, the dog's barking for over 2 hours and then stops when the officer shows up, and then there's no way to actually charge it. So I guess I just wanted a little direction in terms of how stringent the council wants me to make it. I can go and research more ordinance language on this. I suspect that no one's perfected it, to be completely frank, but
Yeah.
somebody have done a little bit, have gotten a little bit closer to actually facilitating that. I guess the question I have for the council is just basically, do we want it to be a, an immediate thing where it's, 30 seconds or one time, or do we want it to be, multiple people, one person says that it's, do you see what I'm saying? It's one person whose peace is being disturbed.
To address what Bruce was saying, there's some people that work shift to sleep in a day, they'll just put their dog outside all day and just go to bed and put their earplugs in and.
Some people do put their dogs outside, and that's all they do is bark.
Yeah.
I guess my question, Dublin, would be, how did this dog ordinance even come up? Like, I don't even remember, I don't even remember like anybody saying anything about this.
It came up because I brought it into the council's attention. The reason being is that when you read the ordinance as is, and I know that there are multiple ways to interpret an ordinance, but this one is pretty exacting. It reads,
if you own a dog,
if you own a dog and it barks outside, you are to be cited. That's how it reads. So that was my reasoning for bringing it to the council's attention. I think that if, everyone had called in dogs that were barking and the police officers in town actually, had to go out to do all those calls, I think that's literally all that they would do. During the
That's a good point, and I do appreciate you scrutinizing our ordinances, because I think that we need to do an overhaul on our ordinances, because I think there's a lot of them that are unenforceable or that we just never enforce. So why do we even have an ordinance? So I think if you did more research, because the whole dynamic of working with the public, right? We're just gonna have to point in the right direction and then hope that it gets better than calling the police and having them write tickets every time a dog barks. So if we could get away from that specifically, then we'd be doing good.
And to be fair, council, this the ordinance in subsection A was the first time, to the police department's credit, that it was brought up was a few months ago, and I had never prosecuted any citations on this specific ordinance other than I believe it might have been subsection B that I have, but the moment that I was planning for the actual prosecution, I went and read the ordinance, and I was thinking of constitutional issues immediately when I read it. So, but that's how ordinances are. They if they're not amended from time to time, they can pass through the cracks, and they're not prosecuted for a very long time, and no one notices them. So, but I'll look into some more research, some more some other cities, and see what they've come up with, and get back to the council the next meeting. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
I could offer some insight from the police department perspective on that. This is, frankly, for me personally, a relatively new thing to deal with, because I've worked for sheriff's offices prior to coming here, and we didn't usually have to deal with things like this for the most part. But the things I've seen in my past, listening to the police department deal with it, and then the few things we have, few issues we have had with it. One of the things that I think you guys kind of already brought up is one neighbor doesn't like the other neighbor, so hence they don't like their dog. that can kind of become a problem. And then the other thing I saw the police department do in the past is they would go and listen. They would go to the area and they would listen. If the dog barked for a sustained 10 minutes or something, I can't remember what they had kind of an unwritten threshold, if you will. The dog barked for 10 minutes or longer. Their first course of action was they would make contact with the owner and basically give them a warning. You need to make your dog stop barking, and if this continues to be a problem, you'll be issued a citation. I don't know if we write that into an ordinance or if we just, that's kind of our policy for handling it, how the best way to do that would be. But I think obviously providing somebody a notice that they're in violation first before we just go writing citations, but maybe consider some kind of time threshold in there that the dog is barking for more than 5 minutes or 10 minutes or something to that effect would be probably a more beneficial way from what I can see so far. But it would definitely wouldn't hurt to look at other ordinances and see what there is out there.
Yeah, but but they're talking.
Have you looked at any position here from the point of view of the dog?
5 or 10 minutes.
And I have, right near me, I have a person that shuts their dog out in the backyard and will leave town. And that dog will stand out there and they'll moan, it'll groan, and I check it and see it has water every once in a while, but I was just wondering, is there something that we can put in the CSO officer or whatever officer, if this dog is being abused, then something on the call they could answer that probably.
He's not up.
I thought about calling the police several times for that poor animal, but.
Chief, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that actually the state of Wyoming, I don't know if it was in the last year or last 2 years, they made animal abuse a felony, did they not?
I think there is a felony aspect to it, but I believe it's a subsequent offense, if I remember correctly, or
Charge with the first and then second offense.
And we actually have prosecuted a couple animal cruelty cases where the dogs were actually seized by us, and before the cases were completely juvenile, part of the final adjudication was that we actually ended up owning the dogs. Then we turned them over to the Humane Society and they find a suitable home for them.
So if you're ever worried,
Does anybody else have any further questions for Attorney
I have
Hughes?
something to say. You know what my husband's biggest complaint is? It's not the dogs. Well, he's on night shift. It's your backup signals from your city vehicles, because he has to listen to that at the coal mine all the time. Isn't there any way we can shut that off?
Okay, so that was helpful.
No,
Let's
no,
move
no.
on to Clerk Treasurer
Tyler.
Stacy Haggerty.
Tyler,
Thank you,
that was
Mr.
just
Mayor.
a joke, because you know what? He does not like it because he works at the coal mine.
Yeah, that's all right.
But he says, you know what? I
Mrs.
couldn't
Longland, we're
listen to
gonna
the
move on with the meeting. Clerk Treasurer Stacy Haggerty.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My first item is our renewal for the WEBT employee insurance. The gals were in the office last week and gave us our updated information. The change for the medical is an increase of 7%, which is unfortunately normal, but it is lower than last year's. Last year's increase was actually 13%. There are no changes for the dental or the vision, which our employees pay the vision insurance themselves anyway. But I didn't know if the council would like to approve these changes or if we want to wait and discuss more during budget time. I do have to let them know if we want to stay with the same plan that we have or make any changes by April 30th.
Stacy, is this cost per year or month?
That's per month.
Per month? That's a lot of money.
Council, do you want to discuss further, or should we look at it more during the budget session?
I don't know what to discuss tonight. Just the other laws. I think the budget session sounds like the right place.
Sounds good. Want to just make sure you guys had the information. My next item is I've provided everybody with my proposed budget outline. the first few items, I have actually given the department heads their budget worksheets already. And hopefully I'll have those back by the 24th of March. I've tentatively penciled in our budget workshop to be the 14th of April, which is a Monday that we wouldn't have a council meeting. I didn't know if that date worked for everybody and maybe to start a little bit earlier, like 5 o'clock, if possible. Because that does get a little bit long.
That was that April 14th meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I know for Donnie and I, it'll be dependent on where we're at with what we have going on.
And if we need to reschedule prior to that,
So April 14th at 5 o'clock.
that's, and I'll send a calendar invite reminder out for everybody.
Good idea.
And then my last item is I provided everybody with their governmental email addresses and the passwords for those. I have a typo on Darren's and I'll get that fixed. Other than that, I have nothing else.
Okay, thank you, Stacy. Does anybody else have any questions for Clerk Haggerty?
I have one question for Clerk Haggerty in the claims. When the DEQ asked us to put $150,000 up in an escrow, where does that money come from, and do we get interest on it, or do they get the interest on it?
That it just pays down from the escrow. That's for that landfill number 1 remediation that was approved last meeting. And that it comes out of the landfill budget.
Okay. And so when the DEQ gets 150 grand and they put it someplace?
Yes, it's our 1/4% of the project, so we have to foot the bill for 25% of the engineering.
And is it like we paid for something, or is it an escrow?
It's an escrow account that they can draw off of. They draw the money out and pay the engineering firm.
And my question then, do we get interest on that kind of money when it's sitting there and somebody else has control of it?
It will not be there very long. It'll be spent by the end of 2025. So.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on to Public Works Supervisor Greg Stump.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As we've been working through the level 2 assessment, it's looking more and more like we're going to have to chlorinate, simply because of the condition of the tanks and the work that needs to be done. It's in the millions of dollars to fix, and it's going to take several years worth of planning and stuff to get this done. We have an opportunity to put in for an emergency mineral royalty grant, which would be at 100% funding for the chlorination system. The problem is we would have to go in front of the April 3rd meeting. I'm requesting the council do a resolution. This does not commit us totally to this money yet. But I have to have the application in by March 13th. So we won't have another council meeting between now and then in order to get it into the April 3rd meeting. The next meeting would be June 6th. We have to have this ball rolling and probably mostly done by July 4th, according to EPA and what they've mandated we do. So I'm requesting that we do a mineral royalty grant resolution for the $772,014 it's going to take to construct the chlorination system. So I'm requesting that we do a mineral royalty grant resolution for the $772,014 it's going to take to construct the chlorination system. Eventually, we're going to have to chlorinate anyway, but it's probably going to come sooner than later. At some point, we may be able to turn the system off, but until we get some work done on the tanks, we're kind of out of luck.
And this is the system that we talked about in the water meeting, and
It's on-site chlorine generation,
yeah.
so we won't have any chlorine gas. There won't be that hazard there.
You just don't want to kill people, you know.
Chlorine gas, you better have a healthy respect for it. You better mind it and not get complacent around it. I worked around one chlorine gas system, and I had a release in a building. It was in a well building and it had a 10-foot deep pit down below it. Chlorine gas is heavier than air, so it fell down in the water, and there were 8 dead rattlesnakes by the time we got the chlorine gas out of there.
Well, good thing it killed the snakes.
I was glad. But the on-site chlorine generation, we've looked at a preliminary report right now, and it's actually cheaper over a 20-year period to run on-site chlorine generation than it is the.
And this is that Laramie company?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
But I would request the mineral royalty grant resolution in order to move the application forward.
Do we entertain a motion for resolution number 3-2025?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion properly seconded to pass resolution number 3-2025 to be able to make the mineral royalty grant meeting. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay.
Thank you, Council. The
Motion
2025,
passes.
sorry, the 2025 project, improvements project, bid documents are all at OSLI waiting for approval from them. We have submitted the statement of intent for the Highway 16 Pathways project, the one starting at Port of Entry and going out toward Morrissey Road. We're not committed to anything yet. It's just to get on their list for 2026. We finally finally WYDOT got back to us on our requests for information for the Jake brake signs and the mirror. So we're finally moving forward with that one.
It's wonderful. I just about got killed on that corner again today. You guys are, they don't want the mirror.
The leak we had at 1648 Gray Boulevard turned into a much bigger project than what we planned on. We ended up replacing over 40 feet of pipe. We had 2 dump truck loads of concrete we had to haul off because they laid it next to the pipe, complicating the situation. And we found the next joint away from the one that broke cracked. I believe you have pictures in your packet. That one was pretty extensive. There's only been 1 or 2 others that I think were worse than this one as far as complexity. So we did manage to get it done. It took a pretty long day to get it done. We did get that one.
That homeowner's back with water and happy with everything.
Yeah, before we left that night, we had him back in water and back on his own bike instead of temporary. We have been visiting with Black Hills Energy about their EV charging station rates, or rebates, and some of the charging station construction. We don't have any prices yet because the documents they sent me today, there's over 395 different EV charging stations. I have no idea what I am doing. We've contacted 2 electricians to start the process to see what they would recommend. It may be getting an engineer involved in order to make this a little easier on us. So we're moving forward with it. It's just very, very slowly.
I don't think we're gonna have to worry about EV stations
Yeah.
anymore.
Oh, yeah, they'll be here.
Any questions?
Any questions for Public Works Supervisor?
I was gonna ask, in the claims, there's item number 25116, it says core and main, and then it says Omni 4 C2 1000, 20 inches, LL, $3,600. You have any idea what that was?
Yep, that's a 4-inch water meter.
That's a 4-inch water.
Curl Ready Mix. Them and the school district, we had to order 4-inch meter for each of them.
That's one thing?
That's 1 meter.
Okay, then the second part of my question is that before we get into budget, shouldn't we know the difference between what things costing us now and this inflation that he's going through before we try to come up with a budget?
That's what he's gotta
It just
do.
scares me to death to look at that now, because that's what I thought. That's one thing.
The price went down.
Well, thank God.
That meter 2 years ago was over $5,000.
Well, that's very pleasing to hear. Thank you. I'm no longer anxious, but this whole inflation thing has really been getting to me when we're headed into budget. It just really bothers me. And then they cut the
Yeah, now the foreman and myself, we've been looking into our budget, what we spent the last couple of years, what we spent it on to hopefully not need a crystal ball to know what's coming down the pipe. Main breaks like Gray Boulevard and like the one out by the country club,
Yeah.
they're costly. I mean, they're getting more and more complicated. We're replacing more and more pipe each time. We're no longer putting Band-Aid clamps on.
Absolutely, that's a good thing that you're doing. That's wonderful. Okay, anyway, that answered my question, and I'm just concerned. I understand that they cut the property tax by 25% if you own a house under $1 million. And then that's all I understand, but still that's 25% of the income that we used to have that isn't gonna be there.
Right.
And that's all general fund money, which we can't use for water and sewer projects, so.
Okay.
I had one thing, Greg. I received a customer citizen complaint. There's a hole in the sidewalk by the Antlers building. I believe it's on Seneca, going north past the Antlers. So I'm just wondering if you could get somebody over there to look at it and address
Yeah,
it.
we've looked at it. The problem is that's their vault where their water line goes through. So it's vacant underneath of it. There's nothing underneath that sidewalk.
So it's kind of hard to patch.
It's, for me, yes, it would be very hard to patch. Plus, actually, the citizen, or the building owners and the property owners are actually responsible for maintaining the sidewalks.
Okay.
So,
I thought the city owned the sidewalks.
we own the sidewalks, but we require the landowners adjacent to the sidewalk to take care of the maintenance.
Oh, that means just shoveling and things like that.
Including replacement, curb, gutter, and.
So my business is responsible for the sidewalk and the gutter outside my business?
That one's a little different because it's on a state highway. But North Seneca is a city street.
Oh, Mr. Perkins, I hate to throw this out there, but in order to maintain a smooth running meeting, maybe ask for permission to speak from the chair.
My apologies.
That's all right. So you can't. You're going to look into addressing it.
We've been trying to figure out what to do with this for some time, but it depends on what the building owner wants to do.
Okay. All right. Let's just go ahead and move on. Does anybody else have any questions for Public Works Director? No. Okay. Moving on. Police Chief Derek Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I have the calls for service since February 19th. Newcastle Police Department 126, Weston County Sheriff's Office 153, Upton Police Department 3, Newcastle Volunteer Fire Department 4, Weston County Fire Protection District 1, Upton Volunteer Fire Department 3, Newcastle Ambulance 19, Upton Ambulance 4. And the one thing I've been failing to include in my last reports are the in-person contacts at dispatch. And I need to seek clarification to make sure I'm understanding them correctly, but they gave me the number of 93 for the month of February. So that's how many people come to the window and need service of some sort. My second item is we discovered we have a roof leak on this lower portion of the building. Came into work, what was it, last Monday morning, I think, and my chair was a little wet in my office. Leak was dripping right on my chair. So, which everybody just said, well, move your desk. And I thought that was a pretty good resolution until I realized that it's about 10 feet away from all of our communications equipment for the whole county. So I'm a little bit nervous about this leak, to say the least. We have been in contact with several contractors. Low Roofing out of Gillette is basically, by all accounts, the company that usually deals with these membrane style roofs in the region. Most other roofing companies don't touch them. And they thought they could get somebody out here today or tomorrow, and we haven't heard back from them yet. We did have a second company that said they were interested in looking at it. That's Pro Plus Roofing, and they thought maybe later this week they could get somebody out to take a look at it. I talked with Greg about it, and he said there's different options. If I give misinformation, obviously say so, but there's a possibility of recoating or replacement. We did clean it off and take a look at it, and we couldn't find anything obvious where it was leaking, which it may be difficult to find the leak in a roof like that. So I wanted to get some numbers and hopefully bring them back to the council as soon as possible and see what our options are. I have no idea what the cost of something like this is, but it can't be cheap, I'm sure. And I didn't know if the council wanted me to have them not only look at the lower portion of the roof, but the upper portion as well. Because if I understand correctly, it was all done at once, and they have, what'd you say, Greg, about a 10-year-ish lifespan on them?
Typically, a membrane roof will be 10 years of replacement.
So.
And we're at, we put that down in, I want to say 2013. My memory serves me.
So at any rate, we're gonna get some options and some numbers and come back and see what we can do. But it is something we'll have to get fixed for safety reasons.
Chief?
Yes, sir.
You might reach out to Chief Kern, Fire Department, and
Okay.
see who did the fire hall.
Okay.
Because I want to say, when they redid that, that was a 50-year roof.
Okay. Is that a pitched roof? That is, or is it a
Flat.
It's a membrane roof?
Yeah.
Okay. Really? Okay. I need to call him anyway, so I'll see what information he has. My next item is, we had a couple police committee meetings about this, but I'm kind of at a loss as to how to attract qualified applicants for the department. So I wanted to try a marketing campaign, and we got a couple bids initially. They weren't real detailed or anything, but Sagebrush Marketing was willing to do some just social media stuff for us kind of around the region, and they said they would start at about $500 for that. I didn't really realize that Newsletter Journal did that type of stuff, and I think I explained all this last time maybe, but Bob Bonner reached out to me, and he works with a company that has done other marketing campaigns for other departments, and they've had some pretty good success with it. they provided us a bid that is substantially more, but it's substantially more aggressive at the same time, and it's $5,000. And that is a 6-week advertising campaign.
The new store. This is the one-stop shop. We have a pharmacy. We have a bootlegger's liquor. The deli, the food that you can get at a lunchtime is so amazing. The coffee shop. Certain Friday mornings, there's 30 people sitting here in all these chairs. This is the hub for people to come and visit, have their coffee, have their donuts. It's amazing what this area has done. Totally amazing.
And that is a 6-week advertising campaign. And they broke it up to spending $2,000 on social media advertisement, $2,000 on streaming TV advertisement, and $1,000 on YouTube advertisement. So that's kind of covering all different areas where people are typically going to be visiting to get some attention. We spoke quite a bit about it in the police committee meeting, and one of the things I asked him is if we could do some data collection along with that would, if people visit the advertisement but they're not interested type of thing, give them a list of reasons why maybe they're not, whether it be pay, whether it be department reputation, whether it be location, amenities, what the issue may be. So at least if we don't get good applicants out of it, we can get some good information out of it as to what we need to improve upon in order to attract people to come to work here. So I don't have $5,000 in my advertising budget. I think I have somewhere around $1,200. I only had $1,500 to start with. I have plenty of room elsewhere in my budget. I would just ask for permission to use that $5,000 to launch this marketing campaign with the newsletter journal.
Is that the recommendation of the committee?
I agree, you should do that. And so did the committee when we were there.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
We all agreed.
Okay. So where would you be moving this money from in your budget?
I actually didn't look, but I have quite a bit of space and a lot of different line items in my budget because I've been so low staff and stuff like that. I think the salary budget is only like 37% or something used last time I looked at it, so I should have plenty of room in there if I need to.
So do we entertain a motion to move enough money to cover his advertising campaign from the salary budget?
Advertising.
What's it?
Oh,
You go ahead and, you can make the motion?
yes, I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
So we have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion?
Well, I'd like to say this, that going with Bob Bonner and this particular philosophy he's using and where he's putting their money is gonna also be a good education for us down the line, because this will be kind of the first time that we've ever approached it like this. And I think it's worth the dollars just to find that out, because we're gonna be looking for other things too.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes. We got you some money so that you can advertise.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And the one thing, I did talk to Bob again today, and the one thing that he asked me to ask all of you was what do you guys feel is the most important things about the area, the community, and things like that to highlight in the advertising campaign? Obviously, they have ideas of how to promote the community and the department and things of that nature, but he was curious if anybody had any unique ideas. You know, obviously they'll talk about the beauty of the area and the Black Hills and the small town feel and the low crime rate and things like that to help attract people, but low cost of living was one thing he also pointed out. But he wanted to hear from you guys if there was anything else you suggested. as far as points to emphasize to help attract people here. So if there's, and you don't have to say it right now, but if anybody has any ideas, feel free to shoot me an email or give me a call, and I'll make sure that gets incorporated.
Thanks, Chief. So moving on to new graphics for the NPD vehicle.
So I was looking at some of our vehicles the other day, and even the not the newest, but the newer ones, the graphics are pretty worn out and faded and cracked and starting to come off a little bit. And I wanted to redo the graphics to kind of help give things a facelift, if you will. And I attached an example of what I was working on the back page of the report that I handed out. I apologize, the picture's kind of poor. The badge on it does say Police, City of Newcastle, Wyoming. But that was kind of a start of an idea I had, and I decided to possibly take it one step further in coming up with, say, 4 different ideas, putting them out in the media, and having a public vote on which design they would like the best. I thought that would help get some community engagement and make them feel like they had some stock in the matter. So I don't have a bid yet, but I will come back with what that would cost to replace those decals once I get a design kind of finalized. I did touch base with, oh shoot, I don't remember her name, but the gal that runs Wilder Graphic Design, she's gonna do the work for us, hopefully.
Tracy.
I like to try to, Tracy will with her. I like to try to spend our money locally if we can, obviously, so she will be the one giving us a bid. As long as that's acceptable, we'll move forward with that. Let's see here. The last thing I didn't have on the agenda, but I have in my report, we were already in the beginning stages of developing an internship program for high school students here in Newcastle. They do have a program where students will go out to a business or whatever they want to intern, whatever place they want to intern at for 2 hours a day, either 2 or 3 days a week. We've had a couple of them come to us, and we have had a couple interns in the past, but there was no structure, and it was highly unproductive for everybody involved, in my opinion. So I wanted to actually develop a program that provided some structure, provided some preset things, if you will, to help them learn how to do basic police work type of stuff, and basically providing them scenarios that they can work on. So they're not given any information that we can't release to people. You know, they're not seeing things firsthand per se, and they're not, you know, getting information about active cases or anything like that, because we have had issues in the past where one of these interns saw or heard something where we were dealing with somebody, and then they went and told everybody, and that's just not good at all. So we can't have that happening, but we want to develop a program where they can come in and they have a scenario that they have to work their way through and see what charges would apply or what action you would take. And then Councilman Voss came to me with the idea of an apprenticeship program. And this takes the internship program and basically makes it a whole lot more far-reaching and longer. We're just in the very, very beginning stages of that at this point, but one of the options in that would be a scholarship program that is funded by local folks that have the means to do so, but would put them through some sort of police science or criminal justice type of program and get them an education in hopes that they would come back and work for us. We have a lot of details to sort out in developing that, but that's the idea behind that program. So that's something we're going to be working on as we go forward here. And I think that's all I have.
Chief?
Yes, sir.
So along with this internship, this apprentice program you're looking at high school age kids, correct?
Yes, that's where we would start, ideally anyways.
So there's a program out through Learning for Life, which is a part of Boy Scouts of America. It's the same program that the fire department uses with the Explorer program.
Okay.
They actually do a police side of that as well. And the nice thing about it is, obviously, to be part of it, you have to pay so much for dues and things like that to be part of the program. But if there's any kind of an incident or anything where the kid's involved, you've got the backing of the Boy Scouts, where it's not the city is out, you know, trying to figure out how to take care of this.
Right.
So, you know, you might touch base with Lane Zerps and Ryan Whipple, who are the advisors,
Okay.
and see if they can get you some information and see if that might fit with what you're looking at.
Okay, that would be great.
Very good.
Any further questions for Chief Thompson?
I have one.
Yes, sir.
I noticed on my way in tonight, the light at the bottom of the ramp is out. It's extremely dark down there.
That's my retirement program. Don't turn that light back on.
If I may, Mr. Mayor.
It's always
It
out.
needs completely replaced.
It's always
We have
out.
worked on this thing a dozen times. And we cannot keep the thing going.
Okay.
So, yeah. Even before Chief Thompson was around, I've been dealing with that one for like 4 or 5 years. And it's not my money. I can't say what happens in this building. It's not in my budget. So the light needs to be replaced and probably another one put on the front of the building to brighten up the
We do.
the front
It
of the
does
building.
need done. Because
Yeah.
it is dark.
Is it on a timer or photo eye or what is it?
Photo eye, but we changed the bulb, or we had it converted to LED. Thought that would fix it. He kept doing it. We changed the guts on the whole internal thing. Changed light bulbs. We've done just all kinds of things over here, so we still cannot keep the thing going. It just needs fully replaced.
It works whenever the hell it decides to work.
So do we entertain a motion to look into bids to fix the fixtures on the building?
You're, Mr. Mayor, if I may, you're probably looking a couple $100, $500 a month. We've got 2 of them at the shop. They're the same thing. So we have to replace the fixtures in our shop.
So what budget item actually covers maintenance of City Hall?
We have a maintenance budget.
So if we got a couple $100 in there,
That
then
would
we
be
can
okay.
probably fix it. Let's get it fixed. Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, you had something?
Well, I was just gonna, did you have anything about reserve officers?
Oh, yes, I'm glad you mentioned that. I forgot to put that in my report as well. I do have a reserve officer on our post roster. We actually are going to use him a little bit because we're now going to be down to 4 officers. One of our officers is going out with a medical issue for several months. I do need to swear him in next council meeting if we can do that. And I wanted to discuss pay for reserve officers. I believe we were paying the ones a couple of years ago, $24 an hour. Obviously, we're not paying any type of benefits or anything like that. I was gonna propose to the council $25 an hour for reserve officer pay.
What's our street officers get?
It all depends on where they're at as far as years of experience and things like that. The no experienced, brand new is $21.07 an hour. And this gentleman has 7 years on the street, and he's currently working in the dispatch center, so.
So we entertain a motion to offer the reserve officer $25 an hour.
So moved. Okay, I'll second. She moved us.
We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? No. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes. I guess we got a reserve officer. Is that all you got, Chief?
I think so.
All right. Any further questions for Chief Thompson? No? Okay. Moving on to claims against the city dated March 3rd, 2025.
Your Honor, I move. that
I
this
second
office
it. I second it.
recompenses purveyors and suppliers who have paid and presented a proper invoice to the city clerk and approved by this office body.
We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move adjourned.
I second. How are we the only ones that do anything around here, Tom and I?
Well, these guys are afraid to get their names in the paper. They don't-
I just saw a thing in the Newsletter Journal last week,
We
and
gotta
it
vote on
said,
this.
Is there any
I
discussion?
gotta talk.
Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in
Yes, I
favor?
do have discussion.
Oh, go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
was in the paper for having the most motions. It's like, are you kidding?
You're a very active member of this council.
Under the motions.
Appreciate that.
These guys are in the witness protection, they just don't want their names in the paper.
I guess.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes. Meeting adjourned at 9:02.
Okay, I have a question for you.